The Joplin School District announces that spring enrollment is now open for online and in-person classes. I'm Chris Warner. We'll speak with one parent who's making a change and with district officials on what you need to know.
Ottawa County residents are making it clear that they want change after electing 2 new county leaders. I'm Zach Dodge with what they plan to do to make it happen. Coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Joplin School District announces it's opening spring enrollment for online and in-person classes. This is KOAM News at 6. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with district officials about what you need to know and with one parent on why he's changing direction for his kids.
Sarah Mwangi with Joplin Schools says enrollment started Monday for virtual learning, and so far 300 kids have been signed back up out of the 1,400 currently on the virtual option.
So the numbers are very preliminary, but what I'm noticing is a lot of current virtual students who are electing to stay virtual second semester. So I am seeing a lot of that.
With recent rises in local COVID cases, the district says having this enrollment window is vital to ensuring that they have everyone in place in January.
So really we have to wait and see what those enrollment numbers do. If our virtual enrollment spikes, we're going to have to make sure we support that appropriately. If we have a lot of students who want to come back, we're going to have to make sure that we support the classroom appropriately too.
Joshua Shackles has 2 high school age students at home.
My youngest child is doing fantastic with the homeschool portion, but really misses the interaction from other students and teachers.
He says the virtual learning has its advantages and challenges.
So it's nice that it's self-paced. They can work at their own progress speed, and that's fantastic. But it does require a lot of extra supervision on the part of us as parents to make sure that they're accomplishing those goals in a timely manner.
So when the enrollment period opened up, he sat down with his boys and asked them what they wanted to do.
For each child, it was their decision. They really miss that in-person aspect, the ability to walk up to the front of the room and ask a teacher, hey, what do I do about this? How do I handle this?
The enrollment period is open from now until November 30th. Mwangi says if you're enrolled in virtual learning and want to continue virtual learning, you must re-enroll online. In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Mwangi says virtual learning is something the district will continue to offer even after COVID. We've placed a link to the enrollment form on our website at koamnewsnow.com. The Jasper County Health Department reports 2 more COVID-19 deaths. The patients were both men. One was in his 70s, the other in his 80s. The 2 deaths bring the county's total to 64. The city of Joplin is also reporting 2 more COVID-19 deaths, bringing that city's total to 42. The patients were both men, 80 and 97 years old. COVID-19 cases continue to climb in parts of the 4 states. Jasper County reports 355 active COVID-19 cases. Joplin reports 293. In Crawford County, health officials report 209 active cases, 104 in Cherokee County, and in Ottawa County, Oklahoma, there are 136 active cases. Statewide, Kansas has reported another record 7-day spike in COVID-19 cases. The state health department yesterday added 5,920 new confirmed and probable cases. The state averaged 2,047 new cases per day for the 7 days ending yesterday. That brings the state's total to 103,553 since the pandemic began. Governor Laura Kelly's staff, legislative leaders, and local officials launched discussions about encouraging mask use before last week's elections. There is still resistance to mask mandates from many local officials and the state legislature. As COVID-19 cases continue to rise in Joplin and across Missouri, local health departments are having a hard time keeping pace with contact tracing. KOAM's Caitlin Shive spoke with the Joplin Health Department.
According to the COVID Tracking Project, in Missouri, there has been a 12.9% increase in COVID-19 cases over the past 7 days. In Joplin, there have been 548 cases in the last 14 days, with 293 current active cases.
We've been at high points in the past. We are currently at a new high point.
With the increase of cases in the area, Joplin health officials are having a hard time with contact tracing.
It makes it more and more challenging to get those investigated on the same day.
Joplin Health Department officials say that as cases continue to climb, they are feeling stressed when it comes to contacting everyone in a quick manner.
As far as being overwhelmed, we are a bit stressed in being able to investigate all of the cases. We do have a backlog right now of cases. We are working on a plan to alleviate that.
Tolkien says that typically when patients test positive for COVID-19, they will know of their results before it even reaches the health department, a process that slows down their efforts with contact tracing.
The way that channel works, the laboratory runs the test. They will then notify the patient at the same time, and an electronic report goes up to the state of Missouri lab, and then it pings it back down at the local health department level. We have to receive it, log it in, make the actual calls.
In Joplin, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
Joplin Health Department is asking everyone who tests positive to stay home and for everyone to continue safety precautions. Jacob Leonard joins us now with a first look at the weather. Jacob.
If you got up early enough, it was actually a pretty nice start to the day, but after that, cold front moved in, brought some precipitation, and then really just cooled off quite a bit for most of us across the area. Right now, most of us sitting in the mid-40s, 41 there in Pittsburgh, 46 in Commerce, a little cooler, 39 degrees right now in Yates Center. Now, there's a look at that front that moved through earlier. And most of it, of course, has moved off, moved to the east, so most of us right now sitting pretty clear. It's just a little cooler. Over the next few hours, we'll work our way down through the 40s. About 38 degrees by midnight, then most of us will bottom out upper 20s, near 30. Take a look at the full forecast here in just a little bit, Dow.
All right, we'll see you then. Voters in Ottawa County, Oklahoma elected 2 new leaders, both of them promising change. KOAM's Zach Dodge has how the two plan to make it happen after they take office in January.
I believe that the citizens of this county spoke, and they're wanting something different.
Change. That's what Ottawa County residents made clear they want after electing 2 new county officials, David Dean as sheriff and Stephen Chasteen as District 2 commissioner.
We're willing to work our butts off to give it to them.
Residents have been pushing for transparency from the county for at least a year after a fire closed the jail for months and budget cuts left the county with half a dozen deputies in 2019. At the time, Sheriff Floyd says it was because of a lack in funding, but commissioners didn't agree.
We worked hard to help the previous sheriff with his budget and finding extra dollars, encouraged him to do certain things, and he had some success at it.
When you have 2 very important parts of our local government obviously not communicating and obviously not working together, but yet they're all still spending our money and kind of making a mockery of each other, it's not acceptable to any of us.
David Dean wants to see some big changes, saying as a resident of Ottawa County, he sees firsthand the need to get more deputies on the roads and secure the jail, even if he has to get creative to make it happen.
County sheriffs are broke. Jails everywhere aren't in the greatest shape, but everybody seems to be able to work it.
Something that Commissioner Earls agrees with.
One of the things that needs to happen is it needs to be ran more like a business. We need to have a person in there running that jail, and that's all they do.
Chasteen's plans extend past that. He's promising to improve roads and increase overall transparency and communication to give residents the change they want.
This community deserves to be represented by people that understand that they are the CEOs of this county, not those that are elected.
In Ottawa County, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Again, Chasteen and Earls will both take office in January. The Family Video in Pittsburgh is closing its doors. The store on North Broadway has begun its liquidation. They're selling off everything for a discounted price. Officials say the store will be officially closed by the end of the year. The company will continue to operate 250 other stores across the Midwest. Still ahead, local students find a virtual way to honor our nation's veterans. And Joplin JROTC cadets salute veterans from as far back as the Civil War. COVID-19 is altering the way a lot of veteran events are being held this year. Students at Northeast Vernon County School came up with a new, safe way to show their appreciation for our nation's heroes. Instead of their usual crowded ceremony, the students recorded these digital thank yous and performed a research on the history of Veterans Day. It means a lot to students with a service member in their family and to school staff who've also served.
We have a lot at our school that are veterans. Our counselor is, our history teacher, and several janitors that are veterans, and they make a big impact in our school as well.
The students' thank yous will play in their 8th hour classes tomorrow. We're also going to be airing them in the morning right here on KOAM. Tonight at 10, we're going to meet a 7th grader named Angel who shares why Veterans Day takes on special significance for her and her family. Joplin JROTC cadets spent their day honoring veterans at their final resting place. The cadets decorated the graves of more than a dozen veterans who are buried at the Peace Church Cemetery. That cemetery is the final resting place for veterans dating all the way back to the Civil War. We take some time now to honor a local veteran, Private First Class Lawrence Horton. The Rocky Comfort, Missouri native served in the U.S. Army, and we are proud to salute Private First Class Lawrence Horton. He's tonight's Force Night hero. Jacob Leonard's up next with the forecast.
Well, if you got up early this morning, you probably thought it was going to be a pretty nice day, but as we got into the later morning hours, it got cloudy, got rainy, and it definitely cooled off a lot more today than what we saw yesterday. Taking a look now at current temperatures in Joplin. Right now, 45 degrees. With a little breeze, it feels like 39. That wind coming out of the north-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Humidity, 74% right now. Temperatures across the area, most of us hovering in the low to mid 40s. 45 in Carthage, 43 in Lamar. A little cooler in southeast Kansas, 41 right now in Chanute. Now, these temperatures that we're seeing right now, much different than what we saw yesterday. Most of the area right now, it's about 25, even 30 degrees in some areas cooler than what we saw yesterday. As we work through the next few hours, we will work our way down through the 40s, through the 30s, midnight 38 degrees, and most of us will bottom out in the upper 20s near 30, expecting lows and about around 28 degrees tonight in southeast Kansas. Skywatch Storm Tracker, not a lot going on right now, but talk about that front that worked through the day, worked through earlier this morning, pretty much from the top of the viewing area all the way through the bottom of the viewing area. Pretty widespread showers, and most of us saw about 3/10 of an inch of precipitation today. Some spots may have seen a ½ inch, some isolated areas maybe a little more than a ½ inch today, but most of us got some sort of precipitation this morning. Now as we work through the rest of tonight, tomorrow morning, when you get out of bed again, looking at about 30 degrees at 6:30 in the morning. As we work through the rest of the morning hours into the afternoon, most of us will top out near 60. Now Thursday, pretty much going to be a repeat of Wednesday, just a little bit warmer. So when you get up on Thursday morning, be in the mid to upper 30s, and as we work our way into Thursday afternoon, see highs 63, 64 degrees for most of the area. Now, it's going to be dry the next 2 days, but Friday, those rain chances are going to work back in, and some of those rain chances could stick around for early Saturday. But next 2 days, pretty dry, lower 60s. We do have rain chances Friday, Saturday. Now, most of the weekend, it's going to be all right with highs around 63 degrees, but as we get into early next week, it is going to cool off. And while it is dry, it's going to be a little cooler, and it's going to start to feel like it's November around here, which is expected because it is November, right? So low highs, low to mid 50s as we start next week.
November-like weather often does happen in November.
Seems like every year, man.
It seems like it. Thanks, Jacob. Still ahead, though, winners of elections tend to get the most press, but how did the candidates who didn't come out on top feel? We caught up with a couple to find out. Running for public office is an exhausting endeavor, and while every candidate hopes to end up on the winning side of history, well, obviously not all of them can. KOAM's Jesse Irwin spoke with several four-staters who ran in last week's election to see what the culmination of their campaign was like and how they're processing their loss.
Leading up to election night, Josh Shackles watched as the votes for him poured in.
I certainly sat with bated breath, refreshing my browser, looking for the results coming in.
The Democratic candidate put everything he could into his campaign for Missouri State Representative. And now, it had all come down to this.
Throughout the day, I received so many messages of support from people in the community, friends, family, people that I hadn't heard from in years. I heard from Republican families, people that only voted for one Democrat. And so, of course, you know, that always makes someone hopeful that things might go their way.
But by the time all the votes were tallied, Josh found himself trailing his opponent. But he says something else seemed to stick out.
And to be honest, I was blown away by the number of people that supported a Democratic candidate. I ended up with almost 32% of the votes, nearly 5,000 people, which is an amazing number of people that felt like I was a good representative for them.
That same night in Crawford County, Kansas, Republican J.J. Carlinger watched as his campaign for sheriff also fell short. And yet, J.J. still feels it was a success.
Yeah, it worked. It didn't work out in my favor, but it worked out. Two people ran, and people had a choice, and there we go. So it worked out exactly how it was supposed to work out. So plenty of faith in the process, locally anyway. You know, it worked out great. We got results that night.
There are more than 500,000 elected officials in the United States. In last week's election, tens of thousands of Americans ran for some of those seats, only to wake up on Wednesday morning without a new title. But on both sides of the aisle, there are ones like Carlinger and Shackles who not only respect the process, but they know you don't need a new business card to play a role in the place you love.
That's in my DNA. I'm always going to be active, always going to be part of the community. It started long ago. It's going to continue until the day I die.
You know, anytime that you decide to run for a public office, it is going to be a win or lose situation, and everyone that runs has to be prepared for that possibility. Ultimately, the will of the people will always prevail, and it's important to respect the will of the people and to continue to be a good representative of the people that chose to vote for you even after the election is over.
Living in a democracy. Jesse Irwin, KOAM.
Since coming up short in last week's election, both candidates have made the most of their time. Carlinger is on vacation in Mexico with his family, a trip he planned on taking regardless of whether he won or lost. As for Shackles, well, last week Joplin City Council appointed him to the Convention and Visitors Bureau Advisory Board. Final check on the weather is next. Check and back in with Jacob Leonard for a final look at the weather.
Now, the good news is we are going to see some sun tomorrow, which we did not see a ton today. It's going to stay dry over the next couple days, so we will see some rain chances on Friday that could stick around into Saturday. And after those rain chances move out, going to be a pretty nice weekend, especially on Sunday. Mild, 63, and then cooler as we begin next week.
Cooler, but overall still pleasant. Hey, to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge. You'll find it in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. You just search for KOAM News app. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here for KOAM News at 10. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.